Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Spiritual Transformer. So, today I just kind of want to go on another rant, and this time it's about something I never really understood in the realm of spirituality. So, before I decided to jump on YouTube and talk about spirituality, I kind of have to make sure I know at least a little bit of what I'm talking about. But there's one thing that always eludes me and eludes my understanding, really, and that is astrology. Like, I've watched many podcasts with astrologers as their guests, and I even sometimes watch their own channels. And on YouTube, I just can't understand them. They talk about things like alignments, conjunction, retrograde, I think. And these terms, like, I try to pick them up, but I can never get it. They talk about Saturn being retrograde or aligned with other planets, and I'm like, okay. But biggest, my biggest misunderstanding of astrology is what is the mechanics behind it? I just simply don't understand. Like, for instance, a planet like Saturn or Mars or whatever, it's like millions of miles away from Earth. And then there are like constellations in the sky where the stars are millions of light years away from Earth. And I've always wondered, how the heck do these celestial bodies from so far away have any influence at all on us on Earth, on us as individuals? I mean, for instance, why is it that, you know, if you're born under the sign of Capricorn, the zodiac, you are what, ambitious? And you are a Scorpio, you have a tendency to be secretive? Or maybe emotional if you're Pisces or whatever. I'm not really sure because astrology is something I never really studied, but I tried listening to it. I tried to gain some knowledge and I can't figure it out because it's like what makes these signs mean what they mean, and what makes the planets aligned with what they mean. Like, for instance, the other day I watched a podcast where they had one of the, not the best, but at least an explanation of why certain planets mean certain things and what happens when they're in conjunction or whatever. And he said that it's all kind of like based on what you can get from their names and the myths behind them. So, for instance, Saturn is the Roman name for the Titan Kronos, which is Greek. And Kronos, and I learned all this from the God of War video games, right? It's pretty amazing. Kronos was the Titan that was eventually overthrown by Zeus. Zeus ends up killing him or imprisoning him or something like that. And because the Saturn, the planet, is named after Kronos, it's, well, Kronos kind of has a time implication in its name. So Saturn is associated with time, associated with, I think, institutions or establishments. So sort of like, how Kronos is like the old guard before Zeus overthrows him. Anyway, I could just be talking out of my ass right now. Like I said, astrology is definitely not my strong suit, but all this talk about, what these signs mean, and it's just because of their names, kind of makes me wonder, like, are people just making this the fuck up? I mean, imagine if the planets, instead of being assigned names from the Roman pantheon, they're named after flowers. So Saturn is a pansy, and Uranus is a daisy. Flowers have their own language too, right? Like, if you look up flowers, they mean certain things. And again, who assigns these things? But, like, if the planets were named after flowers, they would get totally set of different meanings, wouldn't they? They wouldn't necessarily jive with the same meanings you would get from them the way we have now when they're named after the Roman pantheon. And I just get the feeling that, oh man, all this stuff is just, I can't shake the feeling that we just made it the fuck up. And it bothers me a little bit because I'm kind of a logical person at heart and I kind of need to know why. Alright, so I kind of like badmouth astrology just now, and I just want to say I still believe in it. Oddly enough, I still believe it. If I were ever to sit down with an astrologer, I would take that person very seriously because there's something there. And sometimes you would hear astrologers say, "Oh, the last time this planet was in the same place, this happened." And the time before that, this happened. And it all happened, and all the instances were like, say, revolutions or innovations of some sort, technological innovations. And it's hard not to see that there is some sort of pattern. And I've heard that Vedic astrology, that's the astrology they use in India, and it's actually, I believe that's where Western astrology takes its cues, is from Vedic astrology from India. I hear that their birth charts are scarily accurate, very accurate. They can predict what your profession is going to be, your strengths and your weakness, your type of personality. They can nail it down to like the minute details, I think. And I personally would love to have a Vedic astrologer go through my birth chart one day, except I don't really know when I was born, so I kind of can't. But I would love to, because at heart, deep inside, I still believe it, because I do see some evidence of astrology working as a divination tool, as a tool of reflection, as a tool of meditation. I do believe it works. And that's because I personally did dabble in something else that's a little bit made up. So I've tried tarot cards. I can't really get into tarot cards either, but unlike astrology, I actually tried it. And the reasons why I can't get into tarot cards, it's somewhat similar to the reason why I couldn't get into astrology. It's because these cards make no sense to me. I mean, the 22 major arcana makes a heck of a lot more sense because, you can associate things with the moon, the sun, the wheel of fortune, the tower, death, right? The fool, and a whole host of others. You can make the connection. You can see, oh, this card must mean this because it's the high priestess. Maybe it's got something to do with spirituality. You know, or the magician has something to do with perhaps ambition or making things happen, productivity, right? But then you get to the minor arcana and you're talking about three of wands and fives of swords and eight of cups, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't pin a meaning to an eight of cups. I can't. It just doesn't flow. And the pictures sometimes they don't make a lot of sense, and I tried, man. It's so hard. I understand that if you have a lot of practice with tarot cards, you would just get them. You're just picking up and you just memorize them because you've seen them so darn often. And in my very limited practice, I've seen that pattern emerge within myself as well. I keep seeing the same cards pop up, so I kind of know like what they mean off the top of my head. But I still did take a lot of practice. But at the end of the day, I think the tarot cards are just made up also. Like one of the most popular tarot cards out there is called the Rider Waite Smith deck, and it's literally named after the people who created it. So what, did they just make it the fuck up again? There, of course, there's a mystical, spiritual, and psychic component to it. I understand. They don't just make it up with nothing to back it up. There's probably some kind of occult mysticism reason that just backs up why the tarot cards are the way they are. It's just I can't get into it because a lot of the suits, the wands, the swords, and so forth, they don't make a lot of sense to me without a lot of practice. And one of the evidence of how these cards are made up is because there are so many different types of divination cards out there these days. They're called oracle decks, and they are not traditional tarot cards. They are just cards with like a picture on it, say a bird. Like the theme decks, like if it's an animal themed oracle deck, it's just a picture of a bird, a squirrel, a lion, a dog, a cat, and it's just got like a brief word or a brief text below it, like encouragement, inspiration, spirituality, ambition, that kind of thing. It's just, I didn't even know about the existence of Oracle deck until I had a sit down, face to face meeting with a psychic who read my field, I guess, with an Oracle deck. more than one Oracle deck actually, like several. And that's when I got the idea in my head that, well, there's so many Oracle decks out there. Literally everybody who is so inclined can make their own deck. And there's so many themes, like yeah, there's the astrology, Oracle decks, there's animals, there's like, I believe there's like Arthurian ones even maybe. And, and they're all just made up by somebody. So there's nothing stopping you or me from making up our own decks. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It just, yeah, sure, we make it all the fuck up, but at the end of the day, if there's a deck out there that you really like animals or stars or planets, like, use it. Just because they have meaning for you. And I guess that's my conclusion to this video, really. It's just that it doesn't matter what kind of tool you use for divination or for guidance. It's just, you just gotta find what matches you. I just go out there, and astrology is never going to work for me, I don't think. And tarot cards is looking like it's not going to work for me either. But oracle decks might, because they seem to be simpler and their images make more sense. So, yeah, I came to the conclusion that a lot of this stuff is just kind of made up in a sense. They still work. Even though they're made up, they still work. And I think at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how it's made up, so long as it works. And it works because at the end, it's just all you. Whenever somebody does a divination for you, or you do one for yourself, it's just reflecting back what you already know inside. As within, so without, right? So it doesn't really matter what Saturn means as a planet. It doesn't really matter what Capricorn means as a zodiac in the sky. It doesn't matter if the tarot decks are a Three of Wands or an Eight of Hearts. So long as when you deal them, it's a reflection, it's an outer reflection of your inner state. That's what I've been taught. And that's how it seems like to me. So, again, the tools just don't matter. And I know what I just said kind of invalidates everything I said before. Like, why am I so hung up on how things are what they are and why things are what they mean, when at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. But that's the best way I know of putting this square peg into a circular hole. That's the best way I know, is just that it doesn't matter what it is on the outside or how it came to mean what it means, is so long as it accurately reflects what you are on the inside, accurately reflects the guidance that's coming from within you. That's it. So that's all I got for this video. If you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and I will see you next time. Bye. Peace.